Do you play Warhammer Underworlds or Age of Sigmar and are disenfranchised with Games Workshop removing your models from the game? Do you want to keep playing with the warbands that you spend literally hundreds of hours worth of painting? Warcry is the game for you. Come and join the fastest growing game to come out of the Games Workshop vaults, where you can keep playing your miniatures with up-to-date flavorful rules in the only Games Workshop game to win any kind of external design award. Start playing today.
Host has already done a video about this topic, but not to pass up an opportunity to try and get more players into the game, here's my one. Like many other people, I was really excited for the release of the second edition of Warhammer Underworlds. I'm a Warcry player primarily, so I have a whole bunch of different Warhammer Underworlds warbands. I use in my games of Warcry, and they're all painted up, and I was like, you know what? I used to play Underworlds very early on in the first edition. I remember it being good. I remember enjoying it. When Warcry was released, it kind of petered off a little bit for me, but I thought, you know what, with release of the second edition of the game, maybe this is something that I could get into. And here it is. I even started painting up some of Daintalos's boys, the Exiled Dead, thinking, all right, we're going to get into this game. Maybe this is something that I can do. It used to be sold as a really solid competitive war game. Because those are the kind of games that I'm into at the moment, maybe this was something I could pursue. But like a lot of people, I'm kind of disappointed with the way that Warhammer Underworlds has been going. A lot of other people seem disappointed too. They've cut down the amount of match play legal available warbands from about 60 odd all the way down to 33. The remaining warbands that they have given rules for that can be played in a quote-unquote Legends format, they've done a very generic job whereby you've got a couple of Grand Alliance style data sheets for your warbands, and the idea is that you have to pick. So you don't get that individuality, you don't get the flavor of any of these warbands anymore, and I think that in doing so, they've really lost part of what made Warhammer Underworlds really interesting for me anyway, in that you have all of these different individual unique warbands going into these places with their own play style and their own reasons and their own flavor. Add to that some of the comments that I've been reading about the game itself, how it's been massively scaled back and it doesn't nearly have the amount of depth that it used to. And I'm kind of in the same position as a lot of under-perspective Underworlds players, where it kind of doesn't really interest me anymore. But for you guys who are using your old Warhammer Underworlds models and who want to continue using them, maybe you played them in Age of Sigmar where they've been massively paring back the usage of these miniatures, or you wanted to play them in this edition but you don't feel like you have the support for that, you've got a couple of options. You can continue playing the first edition of Underworlds. You can totally do that. No one's saying that you just suddenly have to stop now that a new edition is coming, but you will have the problem where playgroups, they kind of move on, right? Whatever Games Workshop is pushing as the latest edition, it's very difficult to say, all right, I don't want to play this, I want to play something else, and bring your entire playgroup along with you. So what can you use these models for? Well, I play Warcry, and I'm happy to say that every single one of the 68, I think, Warhammer Underworlds warbands are represented in Warcry. That's where the concept of Bladeborn come in. Bladeborn are effectively your Warhammer Underworlds warbands and the fighters from those warbands, and it's a whole section of rules that allows you to use those fighters in your games of Warcry. We've just had a very big update that took a look at all of those older warbands, brought them up to speed with the modern game, recalculated their points costs, so now you won't feel like if you wanted to play them in Warcry, you're somehow being left behind or you needed something else. You can happily play these models and you'll have a decent time out of it. On top of that, all of these Underworlds warbands will have their own unique special abilities and special rules that are unique to those fighters, and that really keeps the flavor of what that warband wanted to achieve. So if we take the Exiled Dead as an example here, they retain the ability to go around electrocuting people, doing all sorts of interesting things. They get all of the undead abilities whereby you can use your Necromancer, you can use Daintalos to move your pieces around, you can resurrect them. All of that really good, really thematic undead gameplay that we've come to know and come to expect. Now, Warcry itself as a game, you see there's a lot of murmurings online. Oh, Warcry is dead, Warcry isn't dead, whatever. Me and several other content creators have put out numerous videos basically to say why that isn't true. For the most part, people like doom mongering, and it's the same with this game as anything else. But one thing that I can say about the community is that it is one of Games Workshop's fastest growing match play games. The tournaments are getting bigger, the tournaments are getting more frequent. So if match play is a thing for you and you want a competitive game to go into, I think Warcry is in a really good spot at the moment. We're getting regular balance updates once every 6 months that have been specifically looking at the match play side of things to try and make things more balanced and to try and make things more interesting for the players. And for the most part, I'm really happy with it. So yeah, if you haven't played Warcry, I think it's something that you can give a go to. I've done an entire video on how to play specifically with your Bladeborn Warbands. I'll put the link for that up there. I give you a bunch of missions that allow you to play with Bladeborn only if that's where you want to start. And I also talk about some of the more popular Warhammer Underworlds Warbands where we do a little bit of list building, how to expand them out, and how to take multiple warbands, put them together to make one full legal Warcry list. If this is your first journey into the game, I'm also going to link another video up here as well, which talks all about Warcry itself, how to start playing, what you need to get into the game, how you can use your warbands to do things, and where you can progress from there. I think it's a very useful video for most people who want to try and get into the game, and yeah, I think it might be useful for you guys also. Okay guys, we are almost there. Almost hit that goal for this year. 56% are still not subscribed to this channel. So come on, let's get in there. Let's hit those goals for this year. If you do want to throw some more support my way, you can join me here on YouTube. You can join me here on Patreon. You can join me over on Streamlabs. Either way, you are going to get to see behind the scenes content. You're going to get to see stuff before it's released, and you are going to have a little bit of a say into the kind of content that I create in the future. But regardless, if you are a new viewer or you're a returner, thank you very much for watching. Now, let's get back to the video. But that's really what I wanted to say today. I wanted to say that you don't need to worry that you can't necessarily use your old Underworlds warbands anymore, or you can use them and they've lost all their flavor. There is a war game for you guys to play with them. You can try it out. Just by having those warbands yourself, it means that you can already play the game. And if you do, you haven't really lost anything. What I am going to do for you is I'm going to put a link to a massive pool of online resources for Warcry if that's something that you want to look more into. It's got links to various content creators. It's got links to online warband building resources, the rules, any updates to the rules, all the errata, everything is in there. It contains everything that you'll ever need. That's going down in the comment section below and down in the description. And yeah, if you guys end up enjoying it, maybe it's something that you'll stick around for. But anyway, that's it from me for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope that this video has been useful for you and to give a little bit of a light at the end of the tunnel. But anyway, as always, I've been Aitan. This has been Off Meta Musings, and we will see you later.